The last video mainly talked about human upright walking, a cruel process forced to complete due to changes in the natural environment. To summarize the life in the book, although it was relatively carefree, the ancient apes still had the ability to stand in order to pick food conveniently, which laid the foundation for the upright walking under the tree later. In order to raise the processor, given vision on the grassland, search for targets and early warnings, there is a reason for upright walking and running. However, the upright walking on two legs unexpectedly gained energy advantages, allowing our ancestors to walk further, and disadvantages of inner speed was compensated by the advantage of acquired long endurance. In this way, the direction of evolution was imaged, and genes related to long-distance running ability were also able to multiply and grow. The unique skills of long-distance running gradually made humans different. Let me say that this is not a matter of exhaustion and decline, but a certain gene sequence in DNA accidentally mutated. The species in this direction gained survival and reproduction advantages, and was able to grow the frequency of the gene in the population. In this way, the accumulation of millions of years has created the overall evolution. Regarding SAIC, some friends wonder why the long-distance running ability processed by human will force herbivorous prey to evolve in this direction. This is mainly a question of gene frequency, because the predators that herbivores have to face are not only early humans but also many other predators. In fact, before humans entered the civilization stage, multiplied explosively, their number was actually very small for prey. Their main threat still comes from short-distance running demons such as lion and cheetahs. The big ability to run long distance and short distance cannot be achieved at the beginning of evolution. So, the evolutionary pressure of long-distance running brought by humans is not that great of herbivores. Evolution requires sufficient environmental pressure, and a small number of human predators do not have such great influence on the entire party. It is necessary to make it clear that evolution is never caused by a single factor, but selection of comprehensive factors. In this way, human ancestors, such as a minority, can make full use of this advantage to obtain sufficient nutrition, and with more nutrition, they can develop a biological luxury, that is, the brain. To this day, scientists have not studied the operating mechanism of the brain clearly, mainly because the material basis of the conscientious is still unknown. Some people speculate that conscious thinking of the brain is likely to be a quantum level reaction, which is mainly considering the impact of conscious observation of the result of quantum mechanics experiments. However, there is no conclusion. It is just a hypothesis. There is still a long way to verify this guess, but we can still understand the evolutionary pressure of the human brain more clearly based on the geological changes and fossil samples. The evolution of the brain is also caused by survival pressure, not initiative. Then, first of all, although Lucy mentioned in the previous issue began to walk upright, his brain capacity is actually only 400 milliliters, which means that his behavior is probably similar to that of a chimpanzee. Chimpanzees in the forest can also make tools, use team strategies to hunt monkeys, and engage in political assassinations and gangs in the tribe. But it seems that there are all, especially 4 million years ago, they are like this. And so are we. However, when the brain capacity of chimpanzees in the trees no longer increased, the brain development of humans walking upright on the grassland began to sprint. And it increased 3 times in the next 2 million years to 750 milliliters. At this time, the smart brain began to show obvious advantages, and perception, social skills, emotional expressions, and even emotionals gradually formed. Related social needs and competition also began to appear, and the initial nature of advanced intelligence was established. Therefore, the human brain capacity continued to expand rapidly until 2 million years ago when the Homo sapiens appeared, when the brain capacity soared to about 1400 milliliters, finally stopped increasing, even decreased a little. Obviously, this is already the limit, and all the functions are available. If it's larger, it will exceed the level that the environment can support. So, how did this process come about? First of all, it is clear that the bigger the brain is, the better. It is just a tool for living organisms to cope with the environment. Tools that exceeded the standard as a burden. Moreover, the brain is a luxury and consumes a lot of energy. The brain accounts for 3% of the current human body weight, but the energy consumed accounts for 25% of the whole body. The human brain has increased to more than 3 times its original size in 4 million years. But in the blood cells supply to the brain has increased 6 times. This is the conclusion drawn by biologists based on the diameter and number of blood vessels entering the skull at different times based on fossil observations. For a creature, the survival resources available in a specific environment are generally saturated. In order to make way for the brain, very important digestive system for humans, including river valleys and intestines, is degenerating. In fact, I mentioned in the last video that after humans came from trees to grasslands, the flatness and danger of grasslands made life difficult, so they need to work harder. Because the change from forest to grassland on the east side of hunting dog was very drastic. The speed of evolution did not keep up, and innate deficiencies made human ancestors unsuitable for the life of cats in the grass. Because most mammals use smell, hearing, and vision to locate prey and predators, and human hearing and smell are obviously not companion for such work. So they had to climb branches. The complex and flexible hands were not suitable for supporting the body, so they had to work hard to stand up and use the relatively reliable vision to see further, so that they could find prey and predators earlier. Think about the previous trees. Eyes generally only have to process the images of things within a dozen meters around them, and there were relatively few things to process. Now, humans have to constantly use the eyes to scan the situation within a few kilometers around them. In this way, information to be received and processed increased instantly. The most important of them is recognition of colors. In fact, most animals in nature, including apes, see a grayish-white world, with only black, white, and gray, because they do not rely so much on vision to collect information. This is why in our eyes, some animals' fancy colors can also be called camouflage colors. Taller giraffes can recognize yellow and green. After all, they are so tall, so it is better to take advantage of their vision. Most birds, except for non-nocturnal owls, see a colorful world. So we can see from here that the greater the degree of dependence on the vision, the more colors can be distinguished. The essence of light is electromagnetic waves. The difference lies in wavelength, frequency, and brightness, so a human can recognize electromagnetic waves of 380 to 780 nm, that is, visible light, into more than 6,000 colors. This is the forced adaptation of vision. The evolution of the grassland environment is the ability of both hard life 4 million years ago. With the increase of discernible colors, the amount of information received by eyes also increased instantly. In this way, a powerful processor is needed to process this information. Otherwise, this colorful world will only make people dizzy. This is similar to the digital camera. If there's no powerful chip to quickly process this information, the image taken during running will not be visible at all. After processing the information, it must be put into a memory. The next time you encounter the same thing, you can directly search and compare it from the memory, so that you can quickly process the value in a pattern and acquire life experience. Therefore, the memory also needs to be expanded. In addition, the requirement of upright walking for sense of balance, the brain must accumulate evolution to adapt to these needs. Well, it is not that the brain is actively evolving here, but that the evolution speed is accelerated due to the excessive changes in the environment. In fact, the real performance is that individuals with the mutations in this aspect will die faster. The essence is the process of a sharp decline in the number of apes, allowing mutant individuals who can adapt to this environment to obtain larger living spaces and more survival materials. This is a passive process. As mentioned earlier, the brain is a luxury, and this evolution is forced out by the harsh environment. Due to the various innate advantages of smell, hearing, and body perception, other animals do not need to evolve such an energy-consuming organ. The mutation of relatively smart individuals has not gained obvious benefits, but has become a guy who is always hungry and easily starved to death. So this is a harmful mutation. Evolution does not have its purposeful considerations. Later, humans swept the world like a locust plague. It can be said that the brain emerged because of the gaining of a lot of food, because this high energy consuming organ soon obtained abundant food due to its unique long distance pursuit ability of humans. Adequate food brought possibilities for the subservient development of the brain. The various experiences stored in brain memory mentioned above can be summarized as hunting skills. For example, one day a human saw an antelope which was accidentally stabbed to death by a sharp branch while running. Then he probably knew that he would look for this split branch as a hunting tool in the future, where other creatures do not have this consciousness. The division of labor in clustered life increases hunting efficiency. In fact, hunting itself requires a certain amount of wisdom. Lions and tigers also learn some skills in playing and fighting in their childhood. Herbivorous animals generally have small heads, so they don't need to lay down much when they are everywhere. Users can eat as much as they think, so most of the behaviors are innate behaviors, which also ensures that carnivores can also eat some herbivores. However, the nutritional value of plant fiber is too low, which means herbivores have to spend a lot of time eating every day and need multiple stomachs and a very long stomach to digest food. As human hunting skills continue to improve, they can eat more fresh meat, which not only effectively replenish nutrition but also leaves more time to observe, learn, or socialize with other members, and can also spend some time making tools. At this time, another evolutionary engine began to appear, that is, walking upright with hands frees up both hands. In this way, in addition to being a universal tool and responsible for feeling and touching, the hands can evaluate the weight, coldness, heat, and thickness of objects. All perception content would generate a huge amount of information, which requires the brain to quickly deal with and respond. A series of stimuli have led to a surge in brain capacity. In summary, regarding brain changes, walking is the root cause. Information increase is pressure, and improved nutrition is the material basis. This is the first half of evolution of the human brain. It is a combination of various complex events, not the influence of a single event, nor the guidance of any mysterious force. It is a completely natural process. When the brain capacity exceeds 750 milliliters, the enhancement of brain function becomes the main direction of human evolution, because more accurate perception and cognitive ability can gain greater advantages. Many other structures of the body began to change to cater to the brain, such as the head gradually became rounder, the intestines shrinking, and the face shrinking, reducing the burden of the cerebral plane. The neck became longer and more flexible, more complex to facilitate facial turning to collect information faster. Many primates actually need to turn their entire bodies to change their perspectives. In terms of social interaction, as the visual processing ability of the brain increases, the facial muscles of the human also begin to increase, so that they can make a variety of expressions to express their feelings. The slight twitching of facial muscles can also be captured by another person's eye. The brain can analyze its meanings. Humans have even evolved the white of their eyes. In fact, the whites of the eyes are not suitable for hiding in the environment, but they can clearly show the direction of one's gaze. Combined with the movement of eyebrows can express concentration, disdain, and other meanings. Most other primates have a pair of dim eyes and a dumbfolded old expression. The reason for all of this difference is that human ancestors were on the east side of Great Rift Valley in East Africa. At that time, the brain's ability to distinguish is due to vision, but it is varied. The lesson also acts on hearing. This does not mean that we can hear smaller sounds or that we can hear infrasound or ultrasound. These abilities are innate advantages of many animals mentioned earlier. The enhancement of our hearing refers to enhancement of the ability of humans to recognize sounds that they can already hear. That is, the ability to distinguish sound waves of different frequencies more finely, which is the same as visual subservient of electromagnetic waves mentioned earlier. The benefits of this brings us is that we can understand the various sounds we make, which is actually a complex language. Emotions are also the result of further evolution of the brain. Happiness and joy are positive feedback from the brain to things that are beneficial to our survival and reproduction, such as secreting dopamine, which guides the subjective consciousness to try more. Angry emotions are the brain's intense reaction to specific things, accompanied by roars and fights and changing the external environment, and reversing unfavorable situations. Fear is the most encountered when someone is very unfavorable to oneself but cannot be changed, and quickly take evasive measures. These are all experiences of dealing with things stored in the brain's memory, forming solidified emotions that can respond quickly to changes in the environment. Here, I would like to add something about aesthetics. In the previous episode, many comments said that humans shed their hair because smooth skin meets people's aesthetic needs, but what I want to say is that it is a complete reversal of cause and effect, and athletics is still. Genes determine what kind of body shape do we like for the opposite sex, because mating with such a person is more conducive to breeding the next generation. If you don't like the opposite sex with such a body shape, then the probability of your offspring being born and surviving will be reduced, and the genes that determine your unique aesthetics will be eliminated. The same is true for hair. Humans with hair all over their bodies are not adapted to the life of running in Africa. If you like the opposite sex with hair all over their bodies, you may often die or heat. But if you don't want to find the opposite sex without hair, then your genes will basically become extinct. If hair all over your body is more conducive to survival, then human aesthetics will also change. Biologists have also generally found that the brains of animals with social attributes evolve faster than those animals with poisonous rats. Complex social activities have greatly increased the amount of information, resulting in humans' greater dependence on intelligence. Because our community is not like the internal mechanical corruption of ants and bees, because their cooperation methods are written in secret. Our cooperation is mostly composed of individual selfish purposes, so it is full of intrigues. But this has also become the driving force for institutional development and social process. Humans can also constantly change their cooperation methods and improve production efficiency. And all of these require a strong brain to design such a system, not to fight for such a system. In fact, how brain mutation occur can also be explained in detail at the DNA level. Over millions of years, there have been many brain mutations, and a decisive mutation is actually related to cancer. During the evolution process, humans lost a regulatory gene, which regulates a tumor suppressor gene next to it. The so-called tumor suppressor gene is a gene that inhibits the occurrence of cancer and can effectively control the division and growth of cells. The tumor suppressor gene acts on nerve cells. The loss of regulatory genes leads to changes in active of tumor suppressor genes, which deteriorates the ability to control cancer and accelerates the proliferation of neurons, which is equivalent to the tumor being open. In fact, this also explains the problem. After modern people entered adulthood, most organs and human tissue stop developing, but neurons are different. As long as the right brain is constantly exercising, new neurons will continue to be generated, and the neural connections will continue to be established due to the new external stimuli. Facts have proved that the brain is highly plastic. No matter what age you are, as long as you practice repeatedly, you can improve your ability in certain aspects. This is also the source of human huge potential. Therefore, the chicken soup says that it doesn't matter when you start working hard. In fact, there is a biological basis, and this from certain restrained brain cancer. After all, the rapidly growing brain cells and endless proliferation brings more energy consumption. For many animals, this is a lethal mutation. Of course, there is more than one mutation that determines the development of the human brain. There are also some scattered evidence that show the logic of brain development. Mutation related to brain lingering occurred about 40,000 years ago, which happened to be the period where human art and music appeared. Sometime human began to make tools in large quantities and then entered a new era. A mutation 10,000 years ago coincided with the development of human agriculture and cities. Of course, genetic changes are the only result. The reason is that the pressure of the natural environment selected these mutations. Now, it seems that many animals are facing the problem of balancing nutritional and intelligence. Only humans, because of their inherent disadvantages and the harsh environment, have taken a different approach to bear the risk of high energy consumption. But the final result is also good, and the benefits gained from the brain enlargement outweigh the losses. Of course, the brain is not the bigger and better. According to fossil research, an indisputable fact is that after humans entered civilized society, the brain was reduced by 1/6, which means that they actually became stupider. But this statement is not absolute. It can be imagined that humans 2,000 years ago needed to always identify the direction, recognize footprints of prey and beast, identify hundreds of plants and remember their function, and climb rocks and trees from time to time. You can also need to make various tools for spears and arrows by yourself. These raw materials cannot be brought. They are all found by humans in nature and the processed with wisdom. It is better than modern people who have no tools except their hands and stones and branches. Let's see what they can make. The current human reading comprehension and the ability to recognize text and graphic symbols are in need beyond the reach of humans at that time. So the brain is the tool, not continuously increasing. Different brain portions will also increase and decrease according to different environments. At this point, Einstein's brain has given us evidence. It is undeniable that Einstein was able to propose the theory of relativity and the light quantum hypothesis. It is recognized that he is definitely smarter than most people. So in line with his scientific spirit, Einstein promised that he hyped his brain. Scientists would take his brain for research after his death. In 1955, Einstein went to the trial, and his brain was cut into 240 pieces for workers to study. The result of the study was that this was a very ordinary brain. In terms of size, this brain was even slightly smaller than the average size of humans. Scientists racked their brains to study the special features of his brain, but all the characteristics had nothing to do with intelligence. On the contrary, the results of the study is that Einstein has some mild autism. He started talking later than most people. In his life before adulthood was very close. Teacher John was able to absent mind and often lost things. Well, there is no need to be proud of news with these characteristics. It has basically nothing to do with his later achievements. Working the patent office made him constantly contact with clocks and timers. Because of the emergence of railway system at the time, there was a need for unified time in two places far apart, and related inventions had a market. This made Einstein often think about the relationship between time and space. The brain was formed in large numbers. Coupled with his curiosity about science, he also understood that the Lorentz transformation equation at the time, plus autism and fraternity social interactions brought more time for independent thinking, which made theory of the relativity. In other aspects, Einstein's brain is very ordinary, or even worse that of ordinary people, which also confirms the acquired plasticity of the brain mentioned earlier. So, from a biological point of view, there is no so-called genius in this world. It is just a special name for special talent in social opinion, which is still a manifestation of biodiversity. In short, because we have such a body, we need such a brain. And because we have such a head, so this intelligence can command such a body. The improvement of learning ability is one of the byproducts of brain evolution. However, it is this byproduct that has put humans on the accelerated path of evolution and development, bringing more profound changes in an extremely special way. The changes, especially the fatal disadvantage of the reproductive dilemma caused by the erect constellation and the enlarged brain, have led us to civilizations through a bizarre and tortuous path. Although that may not be the original intention of the brain evolution, natural selection has once again shown us the magic of creation with a strange connection. I'll talk about this in the next video.